just have a couple presenters, and we'll go ahead and get started with Chris White for Calohias Earthquake and Tsunami. Chris, are you there? I know I heard you earlier, just making sure you were ready.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I sure can, yes.
Okay, great. Let me share my screen here. Let me know when you can see it.
I can see it. You're good to go.
Okay. All right. Well, great. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to speak with you today. My name is Chris White. I'm the earthquake specialist in the earthquake program at Seismic Hazards Branch at Cal OES. Today, we are very excited. A lot of people have been working hard on this new resource tool called the Guide and Checklist for Non-Structural Hazards in Schools. First, I just want to give an overview of what we do at the earthquake program and in Seismic Hazards Branch. As most of you know, California is the most seismically active state in the lower 48. We have over 30 million Californians that live within 30 miles of an active fault. There's a 99% chance of experiencing a magnitude 6.7 or above in the next 30 years. There's an estimated $9 to $10 billion of annualized earthquake loss in California. So clearly the need to prepare and mitigate and respond effectively to seismic hazards is going to be critical to saving lives and protecting communities moving forward. Some of the things that we do are lead the Shakeout Tour and participate in education and outreach events throughout the state, including Fleet Week. The Shakeout Tour has registered over 10 million Californians pretty much every year. But we also have a bunch of educational and outreach resources that are instrumental in earthquake preparedness and education. And our newest, shiniest, best resource is this guide and checklist for non-structural earthquake hazards in schools. This is an update of the 2011 guide. It's funded by FEMA's National Hazard Mitigation Grant. It would not have been possible without FEMA and our expert partners at the Applied Technology Council and DGS and the California Department of Education. But the guide is designed to reduce risks associated with seismic hazards and earthquakes, particularly for our schools to make them safer for students, teachers, staff, and ultimately our communities, right? So one of the major risks during earthquakes comes from objects that are not secured, such as furniture and equipment. These items become dangerous projectiles and contribute to injuries and damages. So this guide offers practical advice, tangible advice for identifying and reducing these risks to create safer environments in schools and other community spaces. We urge everyone to use this guide to conduct thorough assessments of your facilities. Implementing safety measures fosters a culture of resilience that empowers us to respond effectively in the face of natural disasters. The audience for this tool are school principals, teachers, administrators, and personnel like facilities and maintenance charged with school building and condition safety. So if it gets a little bit complex, then you get construction managers involved. But really, it's a tool that most schools and their faculty will be able to use independently. So the guide identifies potential earthquake hazards associated with non-structural components. Non-structural components are things such as furniture and contents that can shift around and move on their own when earthquake shaking begins. They can slide, break, or fall. Damage to these components can cause injury to students or faculty during an earthquake, disrupt education, and be very expensive. So the guide is broken down by earthquake hazards, checklists, and details. We're going to get into each of these components, but basically the checklists, the hazards are these kind of very straightforward, simple, but informative tables. They're broken down, as I said before. So this light blue header is for furniture and contents. The kind of beige is for exterior components. It identifies any kind of hazard that you can see. These pictures in the middle show you what can really happen during an earthquake. So it's vital that schools and other community spaces kind of step forward in identifying these hazards. The checklists, once you identify the hazards, you use the checklist. So this file, again, it's straightforward, but it's informative. The file, let's take file cabinets, for example, all the way on the left and the middle. Are your file cabinets with depth or width less than 2/3 of the height secured to the wall or floor? If yes, you check it off and you're good to go. If no, then it moves you to the next detail section of the guide, which provide these beautiful 3D graphics that are step-by-step instructions for the proper installation of each component. They include an illustration, material lists, conditions of use, and installation instructions. Furthermore, how to anchor or brace the component to minimize the likelihood that it will fall. Each detail can be directly implemented by school facility directors, custodians, and contracted personnel, such as construction managers. Some of the work may be completed even by volunteers. If the work is, again, too complex or has multiple anchorage options, it's expected that school staff will consult with a California licensed architect or structural engineer. So that was rapid fire. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Just want to make everybody aware of this on the call. We really, really need everybody to help us push this message out and get this resource out to your networks, to the schools in your area. It's up on our webpage right now at Earthquake Preparedness, and you can use the QR code to download it. So again, please push this out to your networks. Here at Seismic Hazard Branch, we also have a bunch of other additional resources. Just real quick, we have the Secure Your Space at Home guide, the MyShake app, which everybody on this call should have. Please download it if you don't. Please turn on your phone notifications in your iOS or Android settings. We have the readiness guide. Visit earthquake.ca.gov for that, and the 7 steps to earthquake safety. This is, the checklist on your far right-hand side of your screen is one of the most, and the 7 steps to earthquake safety is one of the most best tools that we have at our outreach events. So please get involved, be safe. We lead the charge for Cal OES for our annual Shakeout Tour in October. This year in 2026 will be October 15th, but you can do this anytime, right? We can run drills, we can do drop, cover, hold on. It will, and it has saved lives before. Please train, do this with your family, your coworkers, and your neighbors. It protects all of us. So yeah, get involved, reach out with any questions. Please try to spread the message on this new guide, and I'm around for any questions. Thank you so much. Oh, and just real quick, there's a NETAP training, which also everybody on this call, we sent out a flyer for that. So there's trainings tomorrow from February 3rd and 4th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you want more information on that, again, please reach out. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Chris. And does anybody have any questions before we move forward? Okay, not seeing any. And good morning, Danitzia. I see that you're on. I'm sorry, Monica, did you have a question?
Yes, there's a lot of information on the website. Can somebody put the link in the chat since the QR code went really fast?
Chris, are you still on? Are you able to drop that in the chat for us?
Yeah, I'm going to do it right now. Let me get it going.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, we'll go over to Danitzia for Listos program update.
Wonderful. Thank you, Melanie. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Good morning, everyone. My name is Danitzia Singh. My pronouns are she, her. I am the Listos California Program Manager, housed in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion here at Cal OES. Today, I will be sharing how Listos California works to ensure communities across our state are prepared for disasters, not just by delivering information, but by building trust, relationships, and long-term resilience. Can everyone see the next slide?
Yes.
Perfect. At the heart of Listos California is equity. Our mission is to ensure every Californian, regardless of age, ability, income, or language, has access to culturally competent emergency preparedness education. We recognize here that preparedness looks different in every community, and our work is designed to reflect that. Listos California focuses on building preparedness capacity through trusted messengers. We fund and support community-based organizations, also known as CBOs, across the state and develop tools and resources that reduce language and access barriers. Our goals are to increase disaster readiness among socially vulnerable populations, to close outreach gaps not reached by traditional government messaging, and to support community-led solutions. Our approach is impactful. Preparedness information reaches people who may not otherwise engage with government, and relationships between Cal OES and communities are strengthened, and ultimately lives are saved through trusted local engagement. Overall, the Listos California program is supported by 3 dedicated teams. The team that I manage, which is the program team, works directly with community-based organizations, tribal nations, and CERT, providing technical assistance, coordination, trainings, field visits, and other ongoing support. Our grants team manages and administers funding, ensuring compliance with state and federal requirements. And lastly is our communications team. They create and share clear, culturally appropriate, data-driven outreach and messaging. They ensure emergency preparedness information reaches the entire community throughout the state of California, especially individuals facing language, cultural, and access barriers. They manage all media communications, our social media platforms, our website, and more. I'm excited to announce that our fiscal year 25 Listos California competitive funding opportunities are currently open. You might hear these referred to as CFOs. These grants support community-based organizations, tribal partners, and CERT programs serving socially vulnerable Californians who are at a higher risk from natural disasters. Applications are submitted through the Cal OES Grant Central System, and our team is available to provide technical assistance throughout the process. The deadline for this application is coming up on February 23rd, 2026. If you do have any questions regarding the application, please email listosgrants@caloes.ca.gov. My staff, Allie Willis, will be dropping a link and a PDF with additional information on the CFOs. My program team has developed the Community Project Primer, which will be published this year. The goal is to develop a toolkit of strategies for trust building and to elevate community-led approaches and lessons learned from organizations with deep community ties. The Community Project examines how community-based organizations engage vulnerable populations across California. We spoke with over 20 of our current grantees who serve tribal communities, seniors, farm workers, immigrants, people experiencing homelessness, and linguistically diverse populations. Another exciting project my team has been working on is the library tour. Because libraries are trusted, accessible community spaces, it makes them ideal for preparedness outreach. My team will be displaying resources at libraries throughout the state. Displays will be placed for a minimum of 2 weeks, fully managed by my Listos staff, and include a 3-hour tabling event or presentation that will take place at each library participating. All materials are available in multiple languages, and this allows us to reach both the general public and underserved populations. If you are interested in working with us or sharing your preparedness resources at a library in your area, please let me know. We'd be more than happy to coordinate a pickup of your supplies. And for any additional questions on our library tour, please email us at listosca@caloes.ca.gov. Listos California offers free downloadable resources for every situation. These materials are available in over 20 languages and use very thoughtful and effective messaging, and they are frequently updated. All resources can be found at listoscalifornia.org/resources and are free to share and distribute. Since launching our campaign in 2019, Listos California has delivered preparedness resources to more than 13 million Californians across 58 counties and in over 20 languages. Our most popular resource is the DRG, which is known as the Disaster Readiness Guide. My Listos staff, Allie, will be dropping the English version for your reference in the chat. Again, because we do have a number of resources, we are always looking to update them with current and relevant information. Most recently, we've revised our disaster guide for people experiencing homelessness. This guide provides practical preparedness steps tailored to the realities of being unhoused. The final disaster guide will be available later this year to be distributed by us and our partners. But most importantly, the revisions were informed directly by people with lived experience. This includes our Lived Experience Advisory Board and Listos grantees who work closely with unhoused communities. Some of our Listos grantees include Down But Not Out and Catholic Charities CYO of Archdiocese of San Francisco. Listos California is more than a preparedness program. It's truly a commitment to people. And by investing in trusted messengers, we are honoring their lived experience and meeting communities where they are. We ensure that preparedness is not a privilege, but it truly is a shared responsibility. Together, we can continue building California where every community has the tools, knowledge, and confidence to prepare, respond, and recover together. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or need any additional information on Listos California. I will pause here for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Danitzia. I appreciate that. As right now, I don't see any hands up. Thank you for your presentation. I don't see anything in the chat.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much.
I will stay on
Appreciate it.
the rest of the meeting. If anyone has any questions, I'll be available.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Could I ask a question, Danitzia?
Sure.
This is Stacy Silva with Santa Barbara County. I think Stacy Rosenberger with Santa Barbara City was asking the same thing. But first of all, is there a location where there is a list of libraries that Listos is currently working with or is targeting outreach to? And second of all, will there be outreach to the local jurisdiction if a library is identified in our area?
The answer to the second question is yes. The first question is we are currently working on a list. Right now, we have only Northern California and the greater Sacramento area that we are starting with the beginning of the tour. As we continue the tour, we will, once we finalize the list, I can definitely go ahead and send it out to you. But we are more than willing to send all of our materials and get these displays up at any library that you know would take us really. So if you have any additional questions, feel free to email me directly and you and I can coordinate.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you. And I'll be sending any materials that you have that you would like me to send out to everybody. You can send that over to me as well, and I'll send that with the recording.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Melanie.
No problem. Thank you. Okay, we will move over for PPTF, which is Priority Population Task Force, and we have Chris and Ingrid that are going to present today. Good morning.
Good morning. Let me start sharing my screen. Can you all see the slide?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So we can get started. So my name is Ingrid Silva. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a DI specialist here at Cal OES with the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Our office, you know, the main role of the core activities of our office is to enhance equity into everything we do here at Cal OES. But prior to the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, I was with with logistics here at Cal OES as well. I'll hand it over for Chris for a quick introduction.
Hi, I'm Chris Diemel. I'm a community liaison for Cal OES. I'm down in Southern California right now. And I was at the JFO for about 3 to 4 months, coordinating events for Cal OES at the Speakers Bureau. And now I'm focusing on working and coordinating with CBOs, kind of informing them about the Priority Populations Task Force down here in Southern California.
All right. So we're gonna start with what is the PPTF, like an overview of the PPTF. The Priority Population Task Force is co-chaired by Cal OES and Cal HHS. Our goal is to bring state agencies together so we can plan, respond, and support communities in a coordinated way. You know, just like Danitzia mentioned, disaster don't affect every community in the same way. So by being intentional and paying attention to who may be more impacted, we can provide resources and assistance where the community needs the most, so no one is left behind. Our mission is to assist the population at greatest risk during a disaster while providing services to the whole community. And one of the key goals of the PPTF is to identify and address unmet needs by focusing on population most vulnerable to serious harm and recovery challenges. And just put this key goal into perspective, an example was during the LA fires. It was brought to the attention of the PPTF that there was a need for for comfort kits in the shelter. So our partners at CDSS who participate in the daily check-in calls in the PPTF were able to communicate that need to the appropriate program, and the supplies got delivered to the shelter. So just saying, this was just an example, but we collaborate with our government partners in real time, offering guidance and support as challenges arise. So decisions and resources can move quickly and effectively as well. And still continuing on the overview, one of the first things we do when a disaster occurs is gather a quick data-informed picture of who lives in that impacted area or that impacted community. And this includes understanding language needs, age population, like older adults, youth, disability consideration, socioeconomic factors, and the list goes so on. And this early demographic snapshots help us know not just how many people are affected, but who they are, so we can apply culturally competent approaches from the very start, from early on. And the reports and demographic snapshots, they're internal documents and will be shared with the Unified Command Group, the UCG, and the State Operations Center, the SOC. And it will be actively used to inform decision-making at the operational levels. We partner with the Cal OES Advanced Planning and Intelligence Unit so they can review those snapshots before it's released, ensuring consistency, since the Advanced Planning Unit is already looking at various data from the incident. We work closely with more than 20 agencies such as Cal HHS, GovOps, Department of Housing and Community Development, Department of Social Services, and many other partner agencies to ensure that messages, materials, and resources are consistent, accessible, and shared broadly and widely. Early on in the disaster, the PPTF meets with those partner agencies on a daily basis. And this kind of collaboration helps avoid duplicate efforts and ensure that communities receive clear guidance, especially during a very fast-moving situations. And just like Danitzia also mentioned about the trusted messengers, the locals, we know that trusted messengers are truly essential. Local organizations often have the stronger connections with the communities that we're trying to reach. So maintaining an active communications with the volunteer organizations active in disaster, the VOADs, the CBOs, the community-based organizations, are truly essential. Those local partners are invited to present at and participate in the PPTF meetings. And this allows us to understand real-time needs, elevate barriers early on, and support solutions that come directly from the community level. So we meet people where they are. During Blue Skies, the PPTF continue building relationship with and making our network even stronger. We work closely with partners such as the California Specialized Training Institute, CSTI, to explore training pathways that can better prepare CBOs for emergency response and recovery. And the goal is to expand CBO capacity before the disaster occurs. So when an event happens, communities are already supported by informed and prepared and connected partners. We're also continuing efforts to connect CBOs with the resources available through the Listos California grant program. And we're going to talk about a sample of the PPF activities, and the task force most recently convened in response to the LA fires. And for this specific disaster, the task force prioritized populations at greatest risk with a focus on older adults, people with a disability, people with limited English proficiency, and immigrant communities. Just an example for the LA fires, the PPTF worked with Cal OES Advanced Planning Unit, an intelligence unit, to produce a report identifying key demographics data on immigrant and limited English proficiency communities impacted by the fire. And through this report, we provide our crisis communications team with a list of most commonly spoken languages in LA County, and Cal OES used the Cal HHS translation services to make critical needs and translate disaster materials quickly. Now that we're actively socializing the PPTF and its enhanced capabilities, so information can be shared to better inform decision making for future disasters. Now I'm going to pass it over to Chris, and he's going to go over the people with limited English proficiency communities.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. So we know that during language needs can be a major barrier during emergencies, especially when information needs to move quickly. So when I was at the Speakers Bureau for Cal OES coordinating events for the fires, it became pretty clear that language priorities were something that we really needed to look at. And Cal OES during the 2025 Los Angeles wildfires, working with our partners at Cal HHS, we translated materials into more than 10 languages, including Tagalog, Mandarin, Korean, and Armenian. Cal OES also translated materials into non-threshold languages such as Hindi and Urdu based on community needs for particular events. This ensured that critical information was accessible and understandable for the communities impacted by the wildfires. Research from UCLA after the fires found that over 12,000 Asian Americans with limited English proficiency live within the evacuation zones caused by the Eaton, Hearst, Hughes, and Palisades wildfires. And this data confirms that we need urgent multilingual communications to these community members after disaster. During the disaster, we quickly mobilized translation support for state agencies and also translate materials for CBOs. And that allowed these trusted messengers to get accurate information to these community members so that they can move down the road to recovery. And I just want to say one of our priorities for the snapshot is that we want to have this information early into disaster. There was a lot of events already when I got down to the Joint Field Office. So having those language needs understood by our partners early in disaster will really help meet the needs of the community. All right, go ahead, the next one. As you can see in this graph, California has a large population of people with limited English proficiency. Statewide, about 17.3% of people report speaking English less than very well. That's nearly 1 in 5 people that may face language barriers during a disaster. And zooming into Los Angeles County, the percentage is even higher, 23.2%, or nearly 1 in 4 residents. And this reminds us that, we need to prioritize these limited English proficiency communities during planning, response, and recovery from disasters. And go ahead, next slide, yes. And then this is also from that UCLA report where we're looking at limited English proficiency rates by different Asian American ethnicities in LA County, and members of the Vietnamese, Chinese, Korean, and Cambodian, Hmong, Laotian communities had the highest rates of LEP in Los Angeles County, quite a bit higher than the 34% for Spanish speakers. So we really need to be looking, and also for these language needs, another community that the Priority Populations Task Force is looking at is older adults. And older adults tend to have higher rates of limited English proficiency, so they have these compounding issues. So you need to make sure we have those resources out there to support these community members after a disaster. And Ingrid is going to talk about one of the other communities we looked at in the 2025 Los Angeles wildfires, which is immigrant communities in Los Angeles County.
Yeah, so focusing now on the immigrant population, just zoomed out of the LA fires just as a whole. We're looking at the LA County as a whole. Los Angeles is home to nearly 3.3 million immigrants, over a third of the county's total population, according to the American Community Survey. More than 2 in 3 Asian Americans in the county are immigrants, followed by about 2 in 5 Latinos. This incredible diversity brings cultural richness and resilience, while also highlighting the importance of the whole community approach, ensuring access to resources and support for everyone. And during the LA fires, immigrant communities were among the most disproportionately impacted, particularly those navigating language barriers in a very fast-moving emergency conditions. So accessing information was more challenging for community members whose primary language is not English, especially when updates were happening hour by hour and at a time minute by minute. So the CBOs played a critical role here in bridging this gap. In conversations with local CBOs and county partners, such as LA County Anti-Racism, Diversity, and Inclusion Initiatives, RD. They said that mistrust of the government and widespread misinformation can prevent people from accessing and getting the support, even when they're eligible to get. Those communities have a strong preference for receiving information from organizations that they already trust and they already have a relationship with. This experience reinforces the need to continue investing in relationships with CBO, expanding multilingual outreach, and ensuring emergency response are designed with the reality of immigrant communities in mind. And I'll pass it over to Chris for a close off.
Yeah, so just wrapping up everything we talked about here. So, PPTF has been working with Cal OES Advanced Planning on how we're developing these snapshots to make sure that we have, consistent and accurate information. And what we're really looking at is languages spoken, the rates of limited English proficiency, age demographics, disabilities, access to internet, and then culturally specific needs. And we're also working to prioritize translated materials, making sure that communities receive guidance in the language they use at home, so nobody is left trying to interpret critical instructions on their own. And then in the 2025 Los Angeles wildfires, we did see that DRCs don't work for all survivors, especially those with transportation barriers or undocumented households. So multi-agency resource centers and digital DRCs can help meet the needs of the whole community. And those are just some of the ideas that we were working on during the LA wildfires, but we remain flexible to meet the needs, unique needs of communities in future disasters. And then I'm down here in LA. I have been talking with some of the community organizations. I was at the Emergency Network Los Angeles meeting last week at the LA City EOC, just building those relationships with the community-based organizations that are down here and are active, particularly a lot of new organizations active after the 2025 Los Angeles wildfires. And so, as Ingrid mentioned earlier, we're going to produce these snapshots and we're going to share them with the UCG and the State Operations Center to support our local partners during the disaster. And this is really important. We welcome presentations from local partners during these PPTF meetings. And during the 2025 Los Angeles wildfires, we had presentations from local government agencies and local community-based organizations. And on these meetings, there's 20 state agencies that are participating in the PPTF, and hearing directly from our local partners of the challenges of our priority populations can help coordinate these resources. The PPTF meetings are not open door, but we want to hear from our local partners. Sometimes we've taken the lead in inviting some of these agencies to our meetings, but we don't know what we don't know. So if during a disaster, you or one of your local partners has insight into a specific challenge or need relating to these populations, I encourage you to reach out to the PPTF and we'll get you guys involved in these meetings to support these communities. And I will go ahead next slide. We can share our contact information. And then we also have a general PPTF email that you can reach out to that'll hit all the members on our team. And yeah, so just want to thank you for the time to President, and hopefully we can keep supporting these populations going forward.
Yes, and I'm gonna also share, we have a one-pager for the PPTF with like an overview. So I will share that in the chat as well for you.
Thank you both for your presentation. I appreciate that. Does anybody have any questions before we move on? Okay. Let's see, we do Stacy.
Good morning, and thank you for the introduction to the PPTF. Unfortunately, it wasn't something that we were familiar with at the county level. So my question is, how is the PPTF integrating with local emergency management offices and EOCs during an incident? I heard a lot about state agencies, about the SOC, about community-based organizations, and volunteer organizations. But how do we make sure that there's integration and alignment at the local level?
I think that's something we're going to be working on going forward. And we did have some of our local county partners on during the disaster, but we definitely want to make sure that we're coordinating with all of our partners at the local level. So definitely shoot us an email, and we can definitely provide a little bit more clarity and detail on that going forward.
All right, thank you. Don't see any other questions. Okay, thank you both so much for presenting today.
Thank you.
Okay, we will go ahead and move over to the community planning unit. Sahana or Nicole?
Good morning. Sahana is on as well. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Morning.
Just getting the screen set up to share. So, hi everyone. I'm Nicole Kluenker with the Community Planning Unit. Sahana is also on, and we're going to be presenting about the county EOP reviews. Just a brief agenda for our presentation, overview, some legislation, the county EOP review process, some frequent recommendations that we see, and the county EOP review status. First, a high-level overview. What prompted the legislation? Following the 2017 and 2018 wildfires, the state auditor was directed to conduct an audit of 3 counties to assess how well prepared each county is to protect vulnerable populations before, during, and after a natural disaster. The auditor's report was published in December 2019. Finding that California is not adequately prepared to protect its most vulnerable residents from natural disasters, and highlighted the vulnerabilities of populations with access and functional needs, as well as failures in county preparation and state support. The report recommended that the state and counties improve 4 critical areas of planning: assessment of populations to determine the needs that communities will have during an emergency, involving community representatives of people with a variety of access and functional needs to provide insight in the planning process, updating emergency operations plans for alerting, evacuating, and sheltering residents, using key best practices for emergency planning to protect the vulnerable residents during natural disasters. And this led to several pieces of legislation regarding county emergency plan submission, planning process, and content, as well as review. So these are the pieces of legislation. Between 2016 and 2025, there have been several bills amending or adding to government code regulating county emergency plans. Most recently, AB 478 in 2025. In addition, AB 1638, while not specifically regulating emergency plans, added to the government code relating to local government providing emergency response services, introducing requirements on the manner in which information is provided in languages other than English, commencing January 1st, 2025. So AB 580 governed plan submission. A county shall send a copy of its emergency plan to Cal OES on or before March 1st, 2022, and upon any subsequent update. Access and functional needs, what we call AFN, is covered by AB 2311, AB 477, AB 2645, and AB 580. Several pieces of legislation had elements pertaining to access and functional needs content and the planning process, and added on on-request AFN consultations. Another area, cultural competence, under SB 160 and AB 1638. SB 160 addressed cultural competence, and AB 1638 addressed language requirements for information. Pets in disasters. AB 781 addressed pets in shelters as well as warming and cooling centers. And our newest piece of legislation impacting EOPs, AB 478, addresses accessibility to emergency information and services for pet evacuation. AB 478 added section 8593.11 to Government Code in 2025, requiring a city or county to update its emergency plan upon the next update to designate procedures for the rescue of a pet from an area subject to an evacuation order, subject to approval by the incident commander in coordination with emergency management authority that at the time of evacuation was believed to be alive, and to designate a person or entity for a person with a residence in an area subject to evacuation to call if the person is in need of information regarding pets during an evacuation, and to make available to the public by posting on its internet website, among other things, contact information for the person or entity designated to provide information regarding evacuating pets during an evacuation. Plan reviews are governed by AB 580, AB 2386, AB 2968. These Assembly bills added and amended sections of Government Code pertaining to the scheduling and content of emergency plan reviews. AB 2386 amends Section 8620 to require Cal OES to annually review a minimum of 10 emergency plans to determine if the plans substantially conform to or exceed specified recommendations made by FEMA in CPG 101, and those counties were prioritized by high risk of wildfire disaster. AB 2968 added Section 8593.9 requiring Cal OES to develop best practices for counties developing emergency plans, the process for counties to request review of an EOP, and Cal OES to provide technical assistance and feedback consistent with best practices, protecting vulnerable populations, and alerting evacuation and sheltering individuals, and any other necessary and appropriate elements. Plans review schedule governed by AB 580 and AB 2386. These included requirements for Cal OES to review emergency plans from at least 10 counties every year beginning in 2022 and complete a review of all county emergency plans by January 1st, 2028. Cal OES determines a yearly emergency plan review schedule and shares it with the counties. Priority is given to counties with a high risk for wildfire disaster. Additional counties updating plans can also add to the 10 counties originally selected. At the end of the review, counties are to develop and revise their emergency plan to address issues identified during the review. Cal OES has no enforcement authority. Counties are encouraged to consult with their legal counsel on the interpretation and application of this law. Plans review for content, AB 2386, AB 2968, and AB 580. In addition to SEMS and NIMS compliance, the following is included in the review of emergency plans as identified in the referenced legislation. Whether the plan substantially conforms to or exceeds the recommendations in FEMA's Comprehensive Preparedness Guide 101, CPG 101, whether the plan is consistent with the Cal OES proposed best practices, whether the plan protects and accommodates vulnerable populations during natural disasters, whether the plan has established procedures for alerting, evacuating, and sheltering individuals during an emergency, evacuation routes and plans, and shelter-in-place plans, including preparations for evacuations or caring for individuals with access and functional needs, efforts at community outreach to prepare communities.
But
And
it's good information though. At the end of the day, though, I was like, "Oh damn! Like this is going on," and it.
So we have a open mic. Give me
Open
1
mic.
second. Yeah. Okay, it looks like you're good to go.
Thank you. Efforts at community outreach to prepare communities and individuals to take action in the event of an emergency or a disaster, to accommodate persons with pets, large animal evacuation plans, and plans to ensure the health and safety of citizens during power outages. These elements are covered in the crosswalk used to aid in the review, and the crosswalk will be covered in more detail in the process section of this presentation. For more information on the legislation, please refer to our handy dandy legislation fact sheet on our website. The fact sheet has been updated to include AB 478. And from here, I'm going to hand it over to Sahana.
Thank you. Let me just take control real quick. All right. A lot of you have probably heard from CPU, probably myself, about the EOP process and asking for documents. But I just want to do a quick intro. My name is Sahana Sarkar. I am the Senior Emergency Services Coordinator for the Community Planning Unit, and Nicole has joined us fairly recently, I would say, for the EOP reviews. So you'll be hearing from her as well. Jumping back into the process. All right, so you've probably seen this graphic on our website, but just to go over it, so the Cal OES review will maintain existing relationships and will enroll subject matter experts. The Cal OES Region Emergency Services Coordinator, so the Region ESC is how we'll refer to them, remains the point of contact for the counties, and they will review the plan for compliance with FEMA's CPG 101 and SEMS. CPUs, the Community Planning Unit, will coordinate all the reviews, and a panel of subject matter experts will evaluate the specific areas of the plan, which includes our alert and warning program, our emergency functions planning unit for all the animal-related elements, the Office of Access and Functional Needs, and our law branch. So AFN consultations, when requested, will be executed by the Office of Access and Functional Needs. And while it's not in the legislation, cultural competency consultations are offered and executed by CPU when requested. And those requests can be made on our crosswalk, or if you email CPU or AFN directly. It is important to note that while operating as part of the EOP review process, consults can be requested outside of this process as well. So I'm not going to go into detail about every step in this review process, but we're going to touch on a couple key items. So we schedule kickoff meetings with the county several weeks before the start of their review to go over the process in more detail and go over any specific questions that they may have. But the review is prompted in one of two ways. Number one, which is the primary way, the plans are submitted to Cal OES for review upon request if one of the 10 reviews scheduled, if the county is one of the 10 reviews scheduled for that year. So as noted earlier, Cal OES will determine a yearly EOP review schedule, and all of the counties that are up for 2026 have been notified. And we'll communicate that schedule to the affected counties prior to finalizing the list. And number two is any county updating their plans can request to be reviewed. So if a county is planning an EOP update, we would be happy to coordinate the timing of the review to fit their update timeline. To start, counties are asked to complete the EOP review crosswalk, and that's to identify how each element is met by the plan, intersecting plans, or the planning process. The crosswalk is a review tool and not a guide to creating an emergency operation plan. And it does not include all the topics that would be addressed in an emergency plan. Also, it does not prescribe a format for the plan, as jurisdictions may alter the format and have their own sequence of plan elements in any manner that they feel meets their needs and still complies with the requirements. The crosswalk is posted on the Community Planning Unit website, or Community Planning Unit page of the Cal OES website. And while used to aid in the review of county EOPs, other jurisdictions may use the crosswalk for self-review of their EOPs. Along with the crosswalk, a digital version of the EOP and supporting annexes and plans identified meeting the crosswalk elements are to be submitted. So we request everything be 508 compliant if possible, as some of our reviewers do use screen readers. And if not available, we request that the original Word version, if possible, be submitted so that we can remediate specific parts on our end. And we do want to note that the Cal OES Office of Access and Functional Needs offers free digital accessibility courses monthly. And to register for those, you can go to the California Specialized Training Institute website. CSTI has those on their training calendar. And then I do want to mention, based on feedback after the 2023 reviews, we do offer wrap-up meetings to discuss the initial recommendations with the counties before the EOP review comments are summarized for leadership review. And then step 5, updated plans should be submitted to Cal OES. The final plan is submitted for our records, not for additional compliance review. So Cal OES does not have any implementation authority, which leaves incorporations of the recommendations to the county. I know that question comes up a few times. And here we've got the example of a crosswalk of one of the crosswalk pages. And just to go over a little bit of the crosswalk, so elements 1 through 55 are our basic plan elements, which include the SEMS and MIMS and CPG 101 elements. What we ask the counties to do is indicate the page location in the document if it's located in a different document outside of the EOP of where that element can be found. There can be comments made within the local comments column if something's being updated or in the process of being updated. Elements 56 through 73 are the ones added with legislation, and this includes AFN and cultural competence. So for those elements, we ask that the county provide a brief description of how those elements are met or will be met in future updates. And if it is written down within the EOP or a different annex, we do ask that the page and document be referenced. And then just another quick reminder that the crosswalk is posted on the Community Planning Unit page of the Cal OES website, and it can be used by any jurisdiction for self-review of their EOPs. So now we'll do a few of our frequent recommendations, and this is excluding AFN and cultural competence. So some common recommendations we see on item 70, which is the large animal evacuation plans. We often give the one for developing an all-hazard animal evacuation plan, and this would include large animal demographics, transportation, sheltering care, biosecurity, carcass disposal, and euthanasia plans as part of it. Another one we see often is item 67, which is the status of county emergency alert system. We do see a lot of recommendations here. So one of them is identify the notification systems, methods to be used. System examples include integrated public alert and warning system, IPAWS, opt-in systems, notifications such as social media, door-to-door, sirens, and outdoor warning systems, and changeable message signs. Another one is alert and warning notifications that extend across multiple jurisdictions should be communicated and coordinated with the impacted and neighboring jurisdictions. And one more for 67 is use plain, consistent, and accessible messaging, including multilingual and ASL formats. Another one we see is item 4, which is record of changes. And we typically have a recommendation saying include a table detailing the record of changes, including who is responsible for the EOP's maintenance, change number, date of the change, name of the person who made the change, and summary of the change. Moving on to item 72, emergency shelters, persons with pets. Designate at least one emergency shelter that can accommodate persons with pets. And to the extent practicable, designate at least one warming and/or cooling center that can accommodate persons with pets. Public information regarding the availability of a cooling or warming center must include whether the cooling or warming center can accommodate pets. And item 55 for dams. Develop a dam annex or reference dam emergency action plans, the EAPs, and how to access those dam EAPs should an emergency arise for dams in the area. So some counties mention having dam EAPs in their crosswalk notes, but they don't reference in the EAP how to access those EAPs. Item 68, which is evacuation routes and plans and shelter in place. So some of the recommendations we often see here are describe how to conduct an evacuation of neighborhoods, schools, special events venues, areas with high concentration of children and individuals with disabilities, and provide security for the evacuation area. Include standardized evacuation terminology for the state of California, which can be found at calalerts.org/evacuations. Going on to AFN and cultural competence. AFN and cultural competence consistently receives comments, recommendations, and considerations. So the CAP OES Office of Access and Functional Needs offers training and guidance to emergency managers, planners, disability advocates, and other service providers responding to and helping communities recover from disasters. Information and resources can be found on the Cal OES OAFN web pages, and they have a library of reference documents which include integrated evacuation planning for jurisdictions and individuals with access and functional needs. Review status. So we've got 2 additional counties that started reviews in late 2025, and they are nearing completion. And in December of 25, Cal OES determined the 2026 EOP review schedule and confirmed with the counties prior to finalizing. So the review start months are staggered throughout the year. And one of our goals for this presentation is to try and ease any apprehension upcoming and future counties may have with the EOP review process. We look at the review process as an opportunity to support the counties and provide service. And at the end of each review year, we survey participants to get feedback on what is going well and what we can improve on. So surveys from counties that have gone through the process and noted being apprehensive before starting, but found the process supportive, collaborative, and informative. And with 42 counties complete and 12 planned for the completion in 2026, that leaves 4 counties still to be scheduled in 2027 and complete. And to complete, we will have all 58 counties reviewed prior to January 1, 2028. Although I do want to reiterate that if a county is planning an EOP update, we would be happy to coordinate the timing of the review to fit your update timeline. Just let us know ahead of time. And the partnerships between counties and Cal OES within Cal OES will not only continue to improve this process, but will improve our planning for and response to future disasters. So thank you for all your collaboration, and please visit the CPU page of the Cal OES website for more information on the review process and any products, or email CPU at any time. County is planning an EOP update. We would be happy to coordinate the timing of the review to fit your update timeline. Just let us know ahead of time. And the partnerships between counties and Cal OES within Cal OES will not only continue to improve this process, but will improve our planning for and response to future disasters. So thank you for all your collaboration. And please visit the CPU page of the CalOES website for more information on the review process and any products, or email CPU at any time. County is planning an EOP update. We would be happy to coordinate the timing of the review to fit your update timeline. Just let us know ahead of time. And the partnerships between counties and CalOES within CalOES will not only continue to improve this process, but will improve our planning for and response to future disasters. So thank you for all your collaboration. And please visit the CPU page of the CalOES website for more information on the review process and any products, or email CPU at any time. County is planning an EOP update. We would be happy to coordinate the timing of the review to fit your update timeline. Just let us know ahead of time. And the partnerships between counties and CalOES within CalOES will not only continue to improve this process, but will improve our planning for and response to future disasters. So thank you for all your collaboration. And please visit the CPU page of the CalOES website for more information on the review process and any products, or email